Welcome back guys to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can master a cold call to get your own clients in 2026. And if you guys are wondering, is cold calling still effective? The short answer is absolutely yes. It's still one of the highest converting, most effective channels out there, period. You have another human being on the line. You got to go in there. You got to have structure. You got to know exactly what you want to achieve from there. And if you're able to do it correctly, absolutely, it has a highest conversion rate. And so that's why I'm really happy to kind of talk about that, revisit this topic again in 2026. So hope you are ready to rock and roll. So let's get into it right now. So a little bit about me. I am running and scaling my own agency. I have been in recruitment for over a decade now. Started at an award-winning company in 2014 out of 300 recruiters, worked my way up from the bottom to become one of the top billers in 2015, started my own solo practice, made over $500,000 in that for myself, changed my life, and then basically went all in and now running and scaling a multiple agency where we work with some of the best brands in the country, and we helped hundreds of people find their dream job. And you bet I've done a lot of cold calling throughout my years. So when it comes to this video, again, let's break it down into the different stages. So step number one is all about the pre-call prep. So talking to someone is the easy part. What are you doing before the call to make sure that you are achieving success and you're going in there with a clear game plan? So some of the most important things you have to think about is research and targeting. Is that spot on? Are you actually reaching out to the right person, right? Are you reaching out to the right company? Are you reaching out to the plan? Are you reaching out based on the right signals? Like, do you have a plan B, plan C? Do you have other people at the company reach out to, or are you just kind of doing one? Best practice here is I always like to have at least 2 or 3 targets per company, whoever I'm calling. Number 2, what is the angle? What is the timing? If you call at like 5 in the morning, chances are no one's going to pick up. Same thing at like 8 p.m. at night, no one's going to pick up. So what time are you calling them? And what is your signal? What is your angle? Is it based on like them hiring? Is it based on another signal? Are you just calling them out of the blue? Because depending on the different angles is going to differ and impact your approach when it comes to having this conversation. So the easiest thing is like really understand like why are you reaching out to them? Like if it's based on like seeing a job description, you want to quickly reference that in the first 5 seconds when you talk to them. If it's based on a warm intro, you want to drop their names. If it's based on like something that they posted, insights that they shared, you want to reference that the first 5 seconds so they know exactly, oh wow, this is a random person talking to me or calling me, but now I understand why they're reaching out to me. And then more importantly, like what is your goal, right? Like what are you trying to achieve? Like are you trying to achieve like a signed contract, a meeting, a coffee, like drinks? And also how are you coming off on these calls? I'm sure every single one of us here has gotten a call from someone where it's like robotic, spammy, unprofessional. The first thing you want to do is quickly run away and hang up that phone, right? So how you come off, personable, a personality, your tone, how warm you are, right? How much energy, the vibes that you're giving is just as important. So before you do anything, it's really, really important to make sure that you have a right game plan. And the most important game plans is like the research and targeting, make sure you're talking to the right person with the right authoritative, like vendor approval or decision-making capabilities. You want to make sure you're reaching out to someone at the right timing. So typically business day is the best. I would recommend early in the day, sometimes maybe before, after lunch, and sometimes right before end of day when people start to kind of check out and they're not like deep down in very busy work. In terms of the angle, again, that's up to you. I think for recruitment agencies, the lowest hanging fruits are really going after companies that are actively hiring or they have some sort of clear signal that you can easily reference, right? And then most importantly, come off personable, come off human. Don't be a robot, don't be an android. And more importantly, like have a clear goal in place. So usually when you call, it's very difficult to accomplish everything on the call, from like picking up the job to having an agreement signed. Of course, you want to get through as much as you can, but typically the easiest best practice is to get a commitment on when they can review the contract and sign and send it back to you, or maybe an additional commitment where you can meet them in person for dinner and drinks, or like another call. I would always recommend that if you do a second or third follow-up, try to do it in person because it's easier to just flake and ghost off of like another Zoom call or a phone call with an excuse. Like if you book someone down for drinks or for dinner, even for coffee in person, they'll just feel way more bad if they just decide to flake on you last minute, right? So a couple things to keep in mind. Now, when you're going into the call from a recruitment agency's point of view, picking up the job is the most important thing that you can do because the whole idea here is to find companies that you can help confidently. You want to really understand like what they need help with so that you can come into the play and conversation and be like, hey, I know what you need help with. I know how I can help perfectly, right? And so picking up the job is the most important thing that you cannot overlook because if you do this incorrectly, it will have significant downstream effects on how your search is going to go. If you just approve and say yes of everything they're telling you, assuming the company has done the research, the comp bands are competitive to other talent in the market. And what if that's not true? Like, what if, you accepted that from your client that they want to hire whatever role for $80,000, and in reality, you're going to talk to people who want 120. You're never going to find someone that's not going to be billable, right? So our job is to pick up the role accordingly and call out things that don't make any sense, right? And so one bonus thing that I want to share with you in the pre-call is make sure you do a lot of research. So understanding that if you're reaching out to them based on a certain type of role, research, like what are the insights? What are the comp bands? What are the comparables? What from your kind of track record experience do you know of this role, so that when you come on this conversation, anything that's a little bit off, you can call it out. If you don't have any pre-existing experience, I would recommend you do a lot of ChatGPT or Google and research that role so you come off educated and credible. That's extremely important, so that you are coming off as a credible expert, not someone who is like, hey, I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't know anything about this role, which will immediately shoot down your intended credibility, right? So picking up the role is important. You need to pick up the role correctly, because picking up the role in and of itself is not going to put money in your pocket. It's you finding the perfect candidate, putting it together, and then putting the deal and getting it done, right? Real quick, if you ever thought about starting your own recruitment agency, or you're a recruiter struggling to land clients, you'll want to check out our coaching and implementation program. Inside, I give you the exact scripts, the outreach templates, and acquisition systems I used to hit over $500,000 my first year, scale to over $100,000 months, and do over $5 million in placements on my own desk. Our students are already hitting $30,000, $50,000, even $80,000 per month or more. Many of them doing it part-time. So if you want to learn the same playbook, the link's below. It's exactly what I use. Now back to the video. So this is the most important part of the call, where you want to speak directly with the decision maker and go really deep into what you're needing. So for example, if I'm picking up a role, I would go into obviously the job details, right? So like, what is the title of the role? What's the scope? What are they going to be doing? Who are they reporting to, right? What's the compensation? What is your internal max? Because sometimes, like if you find someone who, let's say a candidate that's looking for 100K, and then your client's like, ideally we're looking for 80, 90K, usually for the right person, they might have some wiggle room to be able to consider people who are a little bit higher, right? What are the must-haves? What are the nice-to-haves? Really getting deep here. And this is important, because if you read a simple job description, you'd have no idea to differentiate what's a must-have, what's a nice-to-have. Are all of these important, or all of these right? And this is the reason why we want to talk to the clients, so we can hear from them directly, like what's important, what's not important. Education, degree requirements, these are important things to capture. And then I would immediately switch gears to be cool, let's go over the interview audit. Like, how many other people are in play? Why are we talking? How are the previous candidates? Is there a reason why like they failed? Like that they didn't move forward? How many stages? How many rounds in your process? If it's too long, I would do my best to accelerate that. Hey, Preston, we have 10 interview stages. Hey, that's great. But if you're looking to hire someone as soon as possible, which you are, I'd recommend to do something more competitive, to cut it down to the 4 to 6. And that's also good for you, because the shorter and smaller the interview stages, the faster you can get a candidate from A to Z, possibly to an offer, right? Which is something that we all want. How many candidates recruiters in play? Already talked about that. You kind of want to get the lay of the land. Like, is this empty pipeline? Is this already like, 5 people in finals? And if that's the case, is it even worth my time to even engage here? How do we submit candidates? ATS, do we email them to you? Feedback cadence expectations. So if I submit a candidate, how long does it usually take to get back to me? And if it's long, can you make an effort to get back to me in the next 24, 48 hours, right? That's typically like the best practice of what we like to do. Really just making sure like you're kind of feeling them out. Like, what is it like to work with this person? Is it going to be different? Is it going to be perceivably difficult, or maybe standard, or maybe even easier and faster? These are things that we're just kind of feeling out. Like any relationship, you're feeling a client out as they're feeling you out. But again, I don't want to overstate this. Picking up the role is so important, and you have to do it correctly. If you just say yes to everything, it can absolutely blow back and make your life way more difficult. So as you pick up the job, then what you want to do ideally is you want to reconfirm what the profile pitch. So once you really understand, like, hey client, I understand exactly what you're looking for, to solidify your expertise, your credibility, you always want to have a couple of profiles already ready, right? Maybe a couple of resumes, a couple of LinkedIn profiles, MPCs, most placeable candidates. And you want to be able to be like, hey client, I know I understand what you're looking for. And to show you how much I understand, take a look at some of these candidates. Aren't they amazing? So you want to then be like, hey, I understand what you're looking for. This makes me think of this candidate named David. He has X, Y, and Z. You're looking for X, Y, and Z. Is this a good fit? And ideally at this point, all you're looking to achieve is for the client to be like, yes, this makes sense. You're like, great, boom. Now I can show them like I have access to an amazing candidate. The client feels great that you're already pitching them amazing candidates. And then now you're like, I'm completely aligned. I can go out there and start an effective search, or reach out to my database and build more people and find you more people like David, right? And if for any reason the people that you're pitching are not aligned, you really want to make sure you go over the questions again so you really understand it, so you can pitch another person and get aligned. Here, the whole purpose of this is just locking credibility, giving them really a feeling proving like not only are you walking the walk, but you can talk the talk. And you're saying you have access to good candidates, but now you're really showing the clients like who you're reaching out to, right? So this is literally the whole purpose here, is to just help you close the client and just show them like you are the right recruiter to work with, the right vendor partnership to work with than anyone else out there. Once you reconfirm with the pitch, at this point, you picked up the role, you reconfirm with the pitch, you're feeling really, really good. Now you want to really pitch yourself. But hey, before I let you go, just go over high level of who we are. And this is where you really want to give your elevator pitch, just the best. Like we've worked with awesome equivalent companies just like you. We have a track record, literally zero cost to work with us. We have a track record of filling a role in the first 1 or 2 weeks. You just want to get them excited to work with you, right? And just show them that you are amazing. Like they are lucky to have you on the conversation right now. And if they're talking to other recruiters, let's just shut that down. Just work with me, right? Basically, you just telling them like how and why you are awesome and what they can expect working with you. And then of course, let's go over the terms, right? Terms and conditions. So like this is super important. You want them to sign an agreement. And so after you get them excited, you want to now like talk about the terms and ideally use that conversation to agree on the terms. This is my fee percentage. Shoot high, right? 30%. And then you can always negotiate down. Payable terms, guarantee, ownership are some of the most common things that you want in a typical engagement agreement. Payable terms, typically 15 to 45 days. Guarantee, typically 30 to 120 days. Ownership clause, typically 6 months to a year, maybe longer. We've seen things as long as 2 years, which is not great. You want to keep that as low as possible. And the idea here is try to do the negotiations on the call, lock it in. Ideally, if you want, take a step further, big, hey, here's the agreement, read it over, let's e-sign it right now, right? So we don't have to waste any more time. We can get the search started for you and help you find someone right now. Time's of the essence, play the urgency card and move forward, right? At this point, you agreed on terms, maybe you've locked it down, you're feeling great. The only other thing is like you want to set next steps up and set expectations. So if you're 100% clear on the role, move to this stage. If you're not, you go back to that first section and keep drilling down on the questions so that you can feel confident to start the search. One thing that I do recommend is after you pick up the role, always try to set up like a launch call or a launch meeting in person. Where here, it gives you one more opportunity to make sure you are truly aligned on the role, just in case that you collected it incorrectly during the call or the first conversation. You want to agree on like, what is it like working together? Ongoing communication. Is it going to be ad hoc updates or recurring meeting that you're just going to put on the calendar? Submission cadence, like make sure you clarify that. Are we submitting to you, submitting to someone else on the team? Are we sending them to the ATS? What's the feedback, right? So like, how can we make sure that like we set each other up for a win-win situation? Because we don't just want to help you find the candidate, we want to help you close the candidate. So that's why it's very important for me and you clients to be able to work together to get back to each other quickly so that we can get our candidate who you're excited about to the finish line as fast as possible. So you don't have to do this again, but this is something that we recommend because in case that like you just forgot to ask questions, you forgot to go deep enough, maybe you have more questions. This gives you another opportunity in your process to just make sure that you are 1,000% sure before you do anything. Because what you don't want to do is agree to everything, start a search, send them your first couple candidates, and your first couple candidates are off, and that immediately, you can piss off some clients, but hey, you don't know what you're doing, look horrible, waste of time, we're going to terminate our agreement. So you really want to put your best foot forward to make sure that when you send candidates, you want them to get interviewed, that you're that confident. And if you're not that confident, revert back to have more conversations, ask more questions so you know exactly who to go after. One final thing to kind of go after again is what happens like you're doing the call and you get brushed off, which will happen often. First of all, don't panic. It's completely fair. If anything, you want to expect it. So like most importantly, you want to go through the call with confidence. If they're brushing you off, try to push those off and keep going through that call. Because if you have them on the line, kind of like if you're fishing and you have a fish on the hook, if you let it go back into the ocean, the chance of you getting them back on the phone is very, very, very difficult. So if you have them on the line live, push, stand firm, and stay strong. Okay. So number one, do your best to stay on that call. If anything, they're going to give you a lot of it is excuses. Like I have to run to a meeting. I'm about to get lunch. Like just be, hey, we only need a couple more minutes and just keep going through that call, right? If they truly must go, then the best thing that you can do is get a confirmation time and a date and a best contact method on when you can talk to them again. So it's like, okay, I can't talk now. Maybe 2-3 hours from now, we can chat. I'm like, cool. Would that be 4 p.m. or 5 p.m.? 5 p.m. Great. Can I go ahead and send you a calendar invite? Great. Can you actually confirm that calendar invite, right? Boom. So you not only want to get a day and time, but try to send the calendar invite and get confirmation. So the more confirmation that you can, the better buy-in that they can, the higher chance they'll show up. Keep in mind though, if you lose them, there's still a low chance they will show up. So just make sure you do whatever you can to get them to show up. Number 3, if you're talking to the wrong person, right? Try to get the right person's contact and possibly even a warm intro from that person you're talking to. Is way better than you reaching reaching out to this new person cold. So again, stand firm. I know it's gonna feel very like uncomfortable, but that's okay. Stand firm, expect the excuses to come in, pick up the job correctly, immediately move to the pitch of a candidate, pitch of yourself, talk about the terms, lock it in, and then immediately schedule a launch call. Try to do the launch meeting in person. If you do another follow-up, try to do that in person as well if you're targeting your local state, because again, if they brush you off, it's going to be hard to brush you off in person as well. So just kind of play that game, play the psychology, and if they really must go, then try to get a confirmation of another day, time, best contact methods. And again, if you're talking to the wrong person, then make sure you go out there and you get that warm intro from a coworker and colleague, which is always better. So I hope that this video really helps. So in terms of like the process and playbook, you want to prepare really well, understand your market, understand the roles, make sure you're feeling good, drink some coffee, making sure you are in the flow, in the right mindset. You want to pick up that job correctly, right? You want to pitch the profiles, sell yourself, set up the next steps, right? And more importantly, whatever your angle is, reference that in the first 5-10 seconds. Hey, my name is Preston. I saw that you're hiring for blah, blah, blah on Indeed.com. Just want to see if this position still is open and you are happy to talk about it, and immediately get into that call. This call should not be like wishy-washy. You need to have a strategic gameplay. You need to ask specific questions. Don't give the control to the receiver too much, because if you do that, they can brush you off easily, or it can just digress or go into another direction that's just going to waste everyone's time. Like, these are the real big sections you want to accomplish. Control the conversation and keep pushing forward and driving it. And more importantly, guys, you'll get better over time. The first couple calls, you will feel and you will be absolutely horrible. Just put in that reps. That's how we get better time and time again. So master each stage of this framework and you're going to convert more cold calls. It's such an important channel, and it's, again, the most difficult channel. But if it's difficult for you, guess what? It's difficult for anyone else. So immediately you have way less competition than someone who is just more comfortable sending out messages or emails. So if you're able to really utilize calls and become effective at calls, it's going to push your business and your desk forward in ways that you are not even thinking about in this day and age, where it's easier to automate everything or use AI. Like, human to human is the future. It's going to continue to be the future and where you have the most conversions. So I hope that this video helped, and we'll see you on the next one.